Hello everyone, and welcome to Pokerole episode or session or whatever word you like using, 94. We are back after a couple weeks, of course, off from the game as we do. We've been pretty on schedule for a little bit here, and I appreciate that. Not missing any weeks since Kyrio got back from his African vacation. So, last time, we had a pretty interesting time going through the Dragon's Path. And we had just entered the Library of Clairvoyance. So that's where we leave off today. Now, I might sound a little out of it today. Unfortunately, I haven't had the best day. Woke up without hot water, so I had to do a cold shower, which caused me to, I think, contort my back in such a way to cause myself back pain. I am not in the best state right now. But I'm going to go ahead and soldier forward. I think this game will still be fun. But I'm definitely a little more low-key, so keep that in mind today. But, before we fully begin, of course, if you like the video, do think about giving it a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, think about doing that as well. Whoops, that's the wrong link. But if you really want to help out, come over to Twitch. We're trying to reach partner over here, but we need more viewers to do it. So if you want to come by, whether it's to lurk or to talk, think about doing so, because it does make a pretty big difference. It really does. And honestly, it's just nice to have new people to talk to. Also, we have a pretty cool Discord community if you want to check that out. And there is indeed our Pokerole community as a sub-community. Off of that, you can find the links within that Discord. And I have a Coffee link if you want to help directly monetize my content. As well, I also have a merch store if you want to buy some cool merch. All links are in the description, so of course check them out at your leisure. And back to that wrong link, or rather mistimed link, we do also have a wiki for our game, so you can check that out. If you want recaps on episodes, catch up on things about having to watch every video, or just want to look up information and bio about the character stuff. A lot of stuff there. Check it out if you're interested. Pretty good, pretty cool. Been worked on pretty hard by Enio and others, so thank you guys. You can go away, Mr. Link. I told you to turn off now. Mr. Link, thank you. No, go away. It's haunting me. Shoo. Get out of here, varmint. Alright, there we go. I have done some changes to XSplit. It is now running much better, but I noticed that a few things are maybe a little bit laggier. That's understandable. I'm not keeping sources in memory, so I guess they react a little slower. Specifically, macros react slower. Oh well. It's worthy. It's a worthy trade-off for everything else running better. So,
Indubitably.
like, I literally cut the memory usage in half. I'll take it. I'll take the slight lag here and there. But how's everybody at the table doing?
Well, pretty good now.
Pretty good here.
Yeah, I was grumpy kind of all day at work because I didn't have a chance to eat. We were like too busy to do breaks. So I was like, by the second half of the workday, I was hungry. I was angry also that like, my front bike tire, broke, popped. I got a new one and it popped whilst I was pumping it up, and I discovered I need new like treads, actual like the thick rubber part, not just the inner tube.
Jeez,
I had to walk to work
you had a
again.
shitty day too. Jeez.
I had to walk to work again. And we were too, and like I woke up kind of too late to, because you gotta leave so much earlier when you have to walk, and I didn't really get a proper breakfast. I just kind of got one of those like Nutri-Grain thingies. Well, I got two of them because one I would not be able to work. We were too
Fair.
busy for me to get a break, so I'm there like I'm so fucking hungry, and our boss's boss was there too, so we had to like do everything, all like the stupid bullshit we don't normally do.
Ah, yes, I know how that feels.
But I am so much better now that I'm not hungry and not and like not near someone who I kind of hate, but like I have to pretend like I don't because they control my set.
Such is the life of retail and service.
Meanwhile, Kyrio is feeling lethargic and cold too. I hope you have enough heat over there.
Yeah, we just had to crack and open a window because somebody painted our patio. I think the landlord.
Sent fumes.
Yeah, so we've been trying to keep the fumes out of the house, but I've closed the window, so hopefully it'll warm up now.
Sounds like I need to wrap you in a blanket.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good now that my belly's full and I have coffee and I'm in front of my computer.
I ate and it didn't warm me up at all. I thought it would. I thought that would kick the metabolism into gear.
Raptor burrito.
I feel cold-blooded today.
Same.
Kick it and see.
I really think I gain all my warmth of every day via my morning shower. I really feel like without that, there is no warmth. I don't know. What about you, Kyrio? How's your day going?
I'm okay. I have off tomorrow, which I don't usually prefer to have off on Thursdays for scheduling reasons, but meh. I'll take it.
That's not too bad, I guess, as long as it doesn't throw you off sleep-wise.
I've lived through it before, I'll live through it again.
It's not ideal, but... I do have a bit of bad news, Kyrio. I am totally hearing duplicate voices out of you.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Just I was actually having troubles talking because I was hearing myself, and it was confusing me.
I've just gotten used to trying to talk through it.
Oh,
It's
I actually like trip over hearing myself. It just confuses my brain.
Same here.
Experience helps. But I take it we're about ready to begin.
I think so.
Indeedy-doo-da-day.
Don't jinx yourself, we only just entered the tower.
This is true. I suppose it's time for a recap.
I think it's audio bleeding in from my headphones because I'm leaning forward.
Ah, yeah, probably. It's fine right now.
Yeah, I've turned down my headphones, so it shouldn't do it anymore.
Okay.
Why am I imagining very sleepy raptor laying their head on a desk?
That's somewhat accurate.
That is bad posture even for a dino.
Okay, I'll sit up.
Clearly you need one of those chairs that reclines.
I have one. But I figured I
it's
should
good.
be closer to the mic so people could hear me.
Yeah. Good thing I had push to talk. That was kind of a loud burp just now. But I have push to talk on, so you guys didn't have to hear it. But you do have to hear about it.
Righto. Last time, as Charem happily... Well, I say happily, but languidly explained...
That's the word for it.
Languidly explained the intro. Last time, the group, which consists of a Forky Bard, Luxray, Noibat, and Team Cheer, entered the Dragon's Path. And they encountered a Karserus, who actually talked to them, even after it attacked them. And provided a decent challenge. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting you guys to sweep the floor with it. Amusingly enough.
Dragons.
Yes. I didn't even use the special channel either.
Didn't need to. Died in one hit.
Look, I forgot it had assurance, and I saw it and I went, oh wait, that'll be effective!
A little too effective, I guess.
Pretty darn effective.
Knocking out right
You might even say super effective.
guitar
I've heard that
riff.
before somewhere.
Cue guitar riff. In any case, after fighting the Karserus, it effectively greets the team and others as guests. And apparently fighting said guests is sort of a greeting ceremony for the dragon types. And since the team wants to go to the tower, the Karserus has to take them through the council chambers. So Team Cheer got to meet the council, or at least
Seems like a
those...
poorly designed building to me.
You say that, but there are other places you could have ended up going if you didn't need to go to the tower.
One wonders how big the place actually is.
It's a metaphysical space, so I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah, that's exactly why I was thinking that.
So it's yes. It's like the hyperbolic time chamber where it's just like infinite.
TARDIS space. Well, you haven't seen the end of TARDIS space. Because TARDIS space makes everything easier. That said, the council, or at least those 3 present members in Charem, Reshiram, and Zekrom, weren't exactly entirely happy to see Team Cheer. They also seemed to recognize Florence, for some reason. But the council specifically called Team Cheer Acolytes of the Dead Star, which is not something they have been called before.
But it's a great Warhammer 40k title.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Was it Dead Star or Dark Star?
Dead.
It's
Because I thought
Acolytes of the Dead Star. Hey guys, you think it's too late to change our name?
You're not a metal band.
Out of character. I was out of character, by the way.
I know. But no, Charem specifically said Dead Star. Which may or may not be the same thing as the Dark Star that has been referenced multiple times before. But also, there seems to have been some implication that they were around and doing things when it was a problem. And they seem to imply that the Dead Star is responsible for at least one of the members of the council not being there. And that at least one other was being an absentee of their own volition.
Yeah, Death Star, it's actually just a Star U that came back as a ghost.
Ah, gosh, no. But Team Cheer got threatened with imprisonment, and you talked your way out of it.
Yeah.
Even though Florence was offered as a hostage.
And even though Brooke had to talk back.
Yeah, they didn't even have to take us up on our offer of a hostage.
Yeah.
Would have been hilarious.
Thankfully, you all were given leave to continue to the tower, with a certain mysterious Curlia in tow that happened to jump in back in the fight with the Karserus, and was very much out for a great deal of time, at least until you reach the council chambers. And I am super summarizing this, by the way. There is much more detail to what went on, and I'm sure it's on the wiki. I'm just not reading from it. For once.
DM has to remember their own actions for once.
Yes, I could read it, but meh, I don't want it today. I don't want to rely on Enio's hard work all the time. That said, This Curlia, whose name is Rida, eventually grants you all access to the Library of Clairvoyance, i.e. the tower that has been talked about a lot by Luxray. And last we left off, you appeared inside a transport chamber, which looks actually mildly similar to the battle map that we have up, which I'm really fond of. Yeah. And waiting for you there was a somewhat disgruntled-looking Alakazam with an old wooden staff. Oh, right, music.
Does the wooden staff, have, a spoon head, where it could be, a big, soup?
No.
Oh, come on! Golden opportunity.
You asked this at the end of last session. No, it has a carving of Uxie's head.
You're really trying to force this, aren't you?
No, we just didn't remember.
I remember the
Uxie
being mentioned, but I think it was unprompted.
I remember asking if it was a giant wooden spoon. I don't remember.
I remember thinking it.
Alakazam Holy Lady. Yeah, why didn't we have an Alakazam where they have the spoons? You're like, oh, you must be a master at psychic abilities, and they're like, no, I'm just cooking.
Just really like soup.
I just really like soup.
As a reminder, the music is number 15.
Yes, I already turned it on.
Okay. I didn't have it on, I forgot.
Very fair. I probably should have reminded everybody else.
The aptly named Library of Clairvoyance.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one thing I'd like to mention before we continue.
Okay.
So, along with us going to here, we did have a sort of aside on the Pokerole server between me and Brooke, and a little clip from Tucker that did reveal some stuff, not too important or whatever, but it is worth mentioning for anyone who isn't on the server.
That's
yes.
You did read what I said. I wasn't sure if anybody noticed it.
I did. I just didn't have a way to bring it back to a response.
No, I respond kind of late. That's when I had the energy to do it.
It's okay. But yes, there was... I even remade the channel, so it's the first thing there. Yes, Ryda and Brooke are having a conversation during the trip all the way up to the teleport, which involves a bit of a back and forth. And Ryda is very proper toward Brooke. For those who have not watched the previous session or two, Ryda has made a habit of calling Brooke mistress and was asked to not do so anymore. Because uncomfortable. And
reasonable.
Also some mention of the fact that, yeah, Ryda's been watching the group with distinct interest.
It's not been clear how exactly long they've been doing that. Which is curious.
Actually, that has been revealed in a glimpse.
In a glimpse.
Yes, a glimpse I will.
Yes.
It's a bit cryptic, obviously, but it is there.
Yeah, I don't. Cryptic stuff usually flies over my head.
Pat.
Also there.
There?
There.
That's actually quite appropriate.
I wish it was easier to... Actually, wait, no, it's totally easy to do that. Hold on. Let bounce, and... Oh, so make sure I do it right. Okay, there. I think I did it. There.
That is super appropriate.
He will whack Ralph with it.
You're not right. That's really good.
It's a cool staff,
Yeah.
too.
In any case, yes, this Alakazam is looking at Ryda specifically with a very annoyed scowl. I see you broke the agreement.
Sorry, I thought Kyrio was trying to say something, so I was waiting.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. Apologies, but it was completely necessary.
Oh yes, I'm sure it was entirely necessary. They raise the staff up and it hits the ground with a resounding, almost metallic ring. And you get the very distinct sensation of the relative vastness of this chamber.
Well, since nobody's doing anything.
Kyrio's typing.
I was waiting for.
Oh, Kyra's typing. God, why is that
Yes.
text so much smaller than everything else? At least for me it is.
Pet pet.
Pet pet. What if I can make it pink or something so I notice it?
Well, they saved me from getting axed at any rate, Brooke says.
I would say I'm not entirely surprised. But I am just a bit. And they point their staff at Florence. I didn't think you'd be allowed here. Boy, and what's that supposed to mean? I'm welcome anywhere. Everyone here likes me. I beg to
I was
differ.
close. The one dragon really, really wanted to lock him up. I was on the edge of my seat seeing if they would or not.
Frankly, I'm surprised that none of you were imprisoned.
They probably don't have a prison cells big enough for a Snorlax. Maybe they do. I don't want to test it.
Well, I mean, they tried to. Noibet says awkwardly as they sort of flutter there. Oh, yes. And as this wayward archivist would tell you, the Lord of Condemnation has no issue imprisoning even our own wardens. But it would be rude of me to keep you here. They extend their arms outward. In the stead of my erstwhile apprentice, I welcome you to the Library of Clairvoyance. Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Tucker doesn't get too involved in the conversation, as he seems like he's well, all of them are a little bit out of the loop with this situation, but he does a little bit of a bow, appreciating the gesture of introduction and welcoming.
Right,
So,
sorry,
like-
I think we've skipped introductions, Brooke says. I'm Brooke, and we're Team Cheer of the Pioneers.
Oh, yes, I know who you all are. They wave their other hand dismissively as they half turn and gesture with their staff towards a large archway leading deeper into this complex.
Oh, is that because we're famous?
No, it's because Ryda's been stalking you.
Because we're famous. Right?
Tucker gives another sort of unsure side glance to Ryda upon that confirmation.
If that's what comforts your mind, aberrant Snorlax that you are.
Guys, we're favorites. So, little Curlia, did you want our autograph?
I have no such need for such things.
Oh, well, if you take your mind.
I won't.
Florence just pats Ralph on the shoulder. These things happen when you're famous, mate. Don't give a worry about it.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So, like, does this library have information on everything? Like, could I...
I'm sorry.
Oh no, he's dead. There he is.
I tried to stick Noibat on top of Alakazam's staff.
Hold on, I might
because
do that.
because that's what Noibat does. They do just like sit on the head of Alakazam's staff. Noibat has gotten tired of flying.
Oh, I see. I see what happens.
No,
So, like, does this have books on everything? Like, everything we could imagine?
Like, give us a second to fix this, and I'll have him respond. We can just set Noibat nearby.
Don't continue. Don't worry about it. I can do a thing, actually. Just go ahead and do the scene.
Okay. Perhaps these answers would be best answered inside. And they just sort of
Right.
tug on their mustache with one hand. You must
Very
certainly be
nice
uncomfortable
mustache,
and
by the way.
particularly tired. And standing upon these stone floors doesn't make you any more comfortable than a minute ago.
Yep, Doki, lead the way. And I'll follow the Alakazam into the chamber if he's walking.
Yeah, Brooke will head inside as well.
I'm sorry if that ruins any typing plans that you have had.
It's fine, I'm adaptable.
Also, sadly, there is no way to make a Noibat like just walk. So, or
Yeah,
just
that's-
stand without being facing.
Also-
So.
There is no reason that Brooke cannot ask and or say things while they walk. But in any case... Oh right, Alakazam floats.
He does.
In any case, Luxray in particular moves up alongside and just slightly behind the Alakazam as he moves deeper into the complex. And you're led into this large antechamber of sorts. It's not particularly ostentatious aside from like the whole vaulted ceiling thing going on, but everything seems to be lit in hues of lavender and fuchsia, with these glass lamps that have been set into the walls and just slightly inset alcoves, casting just enough shadow between their alcoves to provide this very pleasant aesthetic that's not too hard on the eyes. Yes, Tubby.
Thank you, thank you.
Would you like me to read that?
No. While the reasons why Ryda has been watching us is something I want to know, we are here for a reason, Brooke says. I don't suppose you know about that too?
Unfortunately not. There's only an amount that clairvoyance can do, and Ryda is not necessarily that much of an expert. Occasionally there is no sound, or visual, as it were. The sphere isn't perfect, but they have been working on it for some time.
So,
Look.
how's your clairvoyance? You must be like the master, right?
Hardly. Seeing the future is not something that is easily done.
Can you read minds?
And suddenly an elderly voice echoes in Ralph's head.
What do you think?
Oh, I was thinking of a number in his head. I was gonna think of a number between 1 and 10, but the trick was gonna be that it was 12.
They know the trick, though.
I could have guessed. You're worse than Archimedes, and he's a bad comedian.
Are you looking through my jokes? Don't steal my jokes.
Truth be told, the Alakazam resumes speaking normally as they lead you past the hall out into a very open reception area. The floor has this sort of mosaic tile design that goes in increasingly wider concentric circles. And there is a desk that is staffed by a male and a female indeedy up front, and they seem to be organizing books onto, books, tomes, and tablets of various kinds onto trolleys and racks nearby. And when you look up, you don't see a ceiling. You see a library just expanding into the distance beyond your vision, is best way I can describe it. There are all sorts of psychic Pokemon that are either, standing on what you perceive to be walls in this non-Euclidean architecture, or just sort of floating in various spaces or positions doing what they're doing. And even this chamber seems to only be one of many, as there are, I guess you could call them both doorways and windows that are inset in the walls that seem to lead to other spaces.
So, can all psychic types do that there? You know, the floating thing?
Most, but not all. Though as I was saying, it's particularly rude to go about tearing information from the minds of others. And ruder still to perform telepathy without permission. At least here. We find it's better to exercise our bodies as much as our minds. Otherwise, one withers. And where one goes, so does the other.
I could imagine. So, oh man, you imagine if one of you had a bad dream and like screamed in the dream, but you accidentally turned on your telepathy, And like you screamed at everyone else and everyone woke up because you screamed in your dream. Does that ever happen? Know that I'm snickering in my chair.
I was going to wonder, is this an abstination from the responding?
Like, I'll have Alakazam respond to them. They can have their thing.
Tucker has a thing too. I'll just mention.
Yes. That is what Muna and Moshana are here for. Though they're welcome to as many other activities as they like.
I think you'd have to train your brain muscles a bit more to lift all of you, Ralph says.
I bet I can do it right now. Ralph's gonna try to do it. He's gonna like close his eyes and focus on floating.
While there is a moment of respite from Ralph's words, Tucker seems a bit introspective at what Alakazam was expressing about invading others' minds. And he asks the question, if you can look into others' minds, what about their emotions? He seems introspective on the thought.
Right. Tucker asked about motion. Sorry, I was telling Ralph to do with it.
Do you need me to repeat?
No, I got it. I just needed a second.
Okay.
Sorry, brain switching between gears. It's not been very good at doing that lately.
It's all right.
Emotions, you say? They do that thing where they pull at their mustache, you know, like anime characters do, the like stroke over it and doing like the downward pull. That's not a specialty many of us have. The study of emotions is a difficult one. It's easier to peruse and gather knowledge. Wouldn't you say, Archivist? Luxray clears their throat. I'm in no position to comment, sir. Oh no!
You thought too hard.
Oh no. He thought so hard he disconnected from reality.
Pop! It's just gone.
I've no clipped into the back.
He's achieved nirvana.
Though there are some that follow Mespert's teachings. That said, it should be known that that spirit does not lie here, if you seek them.
Tucker.
But come.
Tucker cocks his head. It's clear he doesn't know of this Pokemon. Maybe I would later. It's not a priority right now, but if there's any information here as to where they could be, they may be able to help me with something.
Oh, I'm sure what could help you is here. It's just a matter of finding it. They get a mischievous smile as they look over toward Rida and Luxray. After all, you have at least 2 companions with you who have been here before, or made it their home. And at least one you're going to need to keep an eye on. They smirk at Florence, who just smirks back. What about me? I'm a dragon! Rawr!
Oops.
Noibat looks mildly grumpy. Yes, and you're particularly adorable. You remind me of a little Abra that I once was. Noibat is not comforted by this. They look exceptionally grumpy.
Oh, who's the cute little grumpy wumpy Noibat?
don't want to be cute. I want to be strong. They squeak.
That's right, you are. Ralph ignores what he said. That's right, you are.
Tucker casually mentions, I don't know, it's okay to be cute.
I'm gonna wait for Kyrio for a sec.
It's fine.
Oh, while I wait for Kyrio, Ralph, when you concentrate on attempting to levitate, you do feel the immense psychic energy that is gathered here. And you feel just a bit lighter, even when you stop concentrating. You don't float, but you feel lighter.
Nice. This is the best diet plan ever.
I mean, I guess. You might as well treat yourself as if you're half your weight at the moment.
Nice. That I don't think that particularly helps us out, but maybe stairs will creak less as I go up them. Oh, dude. Oh, this is good. If Mawile ever gets the idea of putting me on a diet, I could just fake it for a few weeks and then do this, and then when I step on the scale.
Also interesting. I completely forgot there was a Pokemon based around emotion. Seems like there might be a reason to go to that particular landmass. Which one was that?
Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf are the lake legendaries.
Indeed.
They're from Sinnoh.
And they were rather important in Explorers. Thus, it would be the... Oh, geez. Would that be the Water Continent? I think so.
In the main games, they were tasked with the ability to stop Dialga and Palkia whenever they became enraged.
Do you know what their role was in Explorers?
Nope.
Their role in Explorers was to tend to and take care of the Time Gears. They each had one, I believe.
Makes sense. Considering they were there to stop space and time from tearing each other apart. Uxie is knowledge, Mesprit is emotion, and I believe it was Azelf was courage? Willpower, thank you, Bears. Willpower being very important in this game.
Well, Tucker looks around the place, and the sheer, seemingly impossible scale of it, and he wonders aloud, so where is this in the world? Or is it like the Dragon's Path?
Oh,
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
notice.
I was going to say, does Kyrio want to go, or do you want to do it?
I'll wait.
I can go.
Okay. I figured
Might I ask who you are? Brooke asks. I don't want to be rude, but all I know is that your right is superior.
Alakazam will do for now. Though to be fair, many of us have started taking names from the many books that we have. Given that at least one among our number is familiar with humans, I suppose it makes sense for us to start taking names for ourselves. At least so long as we're within the tower. After all, you just heard me talk about Archimedes, didn't you? Oh, I'm sure that knocked owl is somewhere. Probably looking at another book of 110 knock-knock jokes.
Oh,
Is that a Sword in the Stone
sounds like a
reference?
good one.
Yes,
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
You get a
I
cookie.
got that immediately.
you get a cookie.
Yay, cookie.
I was actually about to ask. That sounds familiar. It wouldn't be a Noctowl, would he? But then you immediately confirmed that it was a Noctowl.
And to answer your question, young pup, we happen to be on the Mist Continent. Far removed from the settlements, of course. And don't go thinking you'll just be able to leave the tower and head anywhere you please there. We're sealed off, and with good reason. Though that isn't to say the confines of the tower adhere to the world outside.
You can say that again, he says, still looking up towards the ceiling.
Yeah, if it weren't for that, this place would be hard to mist.
Tucker does refocus, though. We do need information on numerous things, actually. But the main reason we're here is to help, a shaman. One that was affected by bad things. And their mind isn't right.
Goodness. All this talking, and we've only just gotten to the reception area, Ryder. Well, at least it's good your friends are curious.
We're friends. I pat right on the back. We're friends. He said so, and he's wise, so he knows.
Also, oh my gosh, I've been leaning over to do the Alakazam voice without realizing.
When you were
Embody the
talking
character.
when you were talking in my head, did you like literally put your face like right on the microphone?
I got close and cupped a hand just beyond my mouth in order to make a tunnel.
Nice.
Sounds like a pretty exclusive club, Brooke says. Seems like we're lucky to be able to look around, so everyone try to behave. Brooke will glance at Ralph.
Now you get that, everyone behave.
Oh, I have no doubt
Give a
you
thumbs
shall.
up.
Isn't that right, Archivist? Of course it is. If they didn't, they wouldn't just have Archivists on it. Would you like me to read that, Hydra? I am not sure we would be considered friends. This term is for those who have known each other for some time. Well, considering your fascination with at least one of them, I would go on to say they are your friends. After a sort. In any case, this is merely the reception. They gesture with their staff towards the desk where the two Indeedee are just sort of waiting at this point very patiently. The female one has tea ready with them. The male one has a stack of paper with it. I highly suggest you get yourselves registered. After all, what library is it without a library card?
Ooh, do we all get one? Or does, like, Brooke have the card and... Oh, it's a library. We all had to be quiet in there, don't we?
The male indeed lets go of the papers, and they all glow very slightly. You know, the way that things that are being moved by psychic stuff do. And one floats up to each of you, Noibat included.
Sweet.
If you will merely sign your names on these contracts, we will be able to give you a library card. Of course, you will be expected to return the books.
I'm going to read my contract.
So it's a very basic sort of registration contract. Basically, you are responsible for the well-being of whatever book, tome, scroll, tablet, or knowledge and information you take out from its shelf at any point in or out of the tower. And if it becomes damaged, that is on you, and you will be fined. And if that knowledge is lost and cannot be replaced, then you will need to answer to head librarian Mewtwo.
I definitely don't want to answer to him. I'm gonna think that to see if he's like, yeah, you're damn right.
Now, Tucker, get new storybooks for the Daker. Given what we just heard, that's a bad idea. Damaged books? No, sir.
Yes, I did just name drop another legendary, and yes, it's there in black and white on the contract. Some of us don't have hands. Well, you might need to ask that, Kyrio. Also, you let me know if you want me to read the thing. But the female NDD answers Noibat. That's fine. A simple print will do.
Tucker seems a little intimidated by a legalese. But he hesitantly, looks for an inkwell to leave a paw print then on it. Presumably what is offered.
I still get surprised by how many human concepts I keep running into here, Burke says under his breath as he takes the contract. I know how these things work. Don't worry about ink or nothing, Pop. Just place a paw on the paper. Preferably where the line is. Ain't that right? Indeedies. And they answer together, Indeedy.
Oh no.
I see what you did there. I'm gonna put my hand there. I want to focus on making a really big, like, John Hancock style signature across the bottom.
Tucker nods. Alright. And he does place a paw on his sheet too. After daintily saying it on the ground so I can step on it.
But yes, with whatever appendage you happen to touch the contract with, you can either just leave a print, like a paw print or a hand print or something, or like a fingerprint in some cases. Claw print? Claw print. Or if you concentrate like Ralph does, you can make a fancy signature. And yes, Ralph, you have this big scrawling signature that nobody can read properly.
Nice. Oh, it must have copied my real life handwriting. Oh well. Here you go.
Brooke scratches an X on the dotted line. That's fine. That seems to work.
Oh, so the head librarian is Mewtwo. See, when I was just a little and he stops himself munchlax on the schoolyard. The other children used to talk about you three. Is there such a thing?
I don't think I've ever heard anyone joke like that before.
It wasn't a joke. It was more of a urban legend.
By the way, out of character, I know what you're referencing. Alakazam raises an eyebrow, and Luxray looks incredulous and shakes his head. But once everyone's contracts have been signed, which, by the way, Rida, Luxray, and Alakazam clearly do not need one. Pardon me, I have the hiccups.
Figured as such. Also, the fan has stopped.
Yay. The contracts flick out of your hands and are returned to the Indeedee that sent them. And the other Indeedee brings out this comically large stamp and begins stamping each of the contracts in turn. And they pull out library cards for each of you.
Nice.
They're simple. Oh, what would be a good material for this? They're a simple lacquered wooden card that seems to have some PokeScript on it. And as soon as you receive it, an image of your face appears in a blank black square on one side.
Huh.
It's just a black and white image, like an impression.
This is all right with Tucker. He's mostly black and white anyways.
Ooh, fancy, Brooke says. Sorry if I'm not getting all the voices right. So many voices. Now you are permitted to take out up to 3 books at a time, given that you aren't residents of the library. Indeed, and you may take up to 1 piece of information with you outside of the tower. At least one that would need to be returned. Please make note that any copies you make will need to be registered and noted by us, or another resident that happens to be a notary. Would you like a list of the resident notaries?
Tucker is just kind of
Yeah.
nodding along to this, not really sure what a notary is.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Give us some notaries so we can take note of them. So we can check out 3 books, but we can only take 1 outside the tower?
Some of the information here happens to be particularly dangerous or valuable. It can't be readily copied or... Sorry, I personally need to load the vocabulary in my head. It can't readily be copied or duplicated. It might have to do with the medium in which it's on, or it might be that the information is sensitive on some level. Indeed. That's why there are restricted tomes and pieces of information. Some happen to be trapped in particularly nasty ways.
Tucker does speak up and say, that sounds really dangerous. How do you make sure nobody uses it improperly?
One of the Ndidi speak up. Most residents of the tower rarely leave. Any information they take with them is noted down. Usually, residents don't take copies of information with them.
Unless it's like in their noggin, right? I mean, you
Correct.
could like read it and then copy it down when you leave.
Very few Pokemon have the same perfect memory that the Alakazam here does. So we find it's of little issue.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And if someone were to start using that information improperly, we would know very swiftly. There's a reason that all knowledge congregates here, after all. Please, enjoy your stay, and be safe within our tower. And the Ndidi both bow and return to their work.
Okie. So, I guess it's a pertinent question to ask. As you look around at the infinite books, there's quite a lot here. So, how you go about finding what you're looking for? I don't imagine the Dewey Decimal System would be very effective with the, this many.
Tucker's expression matches Ralph's question quite accurately. Tucker actually looked pretty determined when he first got here and was going through the Dragon's Path, but now that they're here and he's just looking up at the ceiling, looking at the quite endless display of knowledge and realizing he has absolutely no idea how to find what he needs.
You don't have to wait on me.
Okay. Sorry, I don't like forcing you to change whatever you're typing, that's all.
It seemed like you had a lot to say, so I was interested.
I'm sort of typing ahead.
Okay.
I would like to respond to their request, but as the player, I don't know. I would assume the character would know, though.
What would you want to respond with? Because the pertinent answer is you probably know.
Of course,
Just
you can always
the general.
you can always just one-on-one message the DM off to the side asking, "Hey, does my character know this, or what would I know here?"
Well, this is something that would be
Just
shared. I don't know.
Just mentioning that's an option.
I know.
It's more of just the general. How does things work here? Like, how do you find things?
So the short answer is, you look for it. Literally, if you go looking for it, eventually you will probably find what you are looking for. And stuff is organized in its own sort of section, but usually it's less Dewey Decibel and more like subject and topic.
Actually, Dan, let me ask this, because I kind of need a refresher, and I feel like some of us do, too. Anyways, what do we basically know, and what are we basically trying to achieve here? We basically know that, you know, we're here. One of the main reasons is to help the shaman, but, geez, where do we start with that? What do we know? What points do we know about the shaman? It's been a while since we've seen them, so what state are they in, and what are we seeking? That's the question.
So, their mind is damaged in a way that is not reparable by normal means, not by normal healing, not by normal psychic intervention. So, you need a specialist, effectively. Articuno pointed you to Luxray to get you to come here, because Articuno specifically stated that there is a Pokemon here who can help.
Specifically stated a Pokemon is here that could help.
Yes.
Not a book that could help.
Correct. I mean, in all fairness, anyone in Team Cheer right now could have all the knowledge in the world on how that situation works, but without the power to act on it, it's nothing more than information.
Right.
Which is another reason why the residents of the library aren't terribly concerned about the information going to and from, even with all the restrictions that are in place, because you can have information but not be able to act upon it. Like, you could know exactly how something is going to happen at a certain place and time, but you may not have the ability to act on that information even at that place and time.
Right. I think Tucker is fully aware of that, the gist of that, honestly. He's not entirely sure. What's that?
I was going to say, part of why Alakazam said that looking into the future is complicated. It's also complicated for a few other reasons, but, you know.
Well, I guess since Kyrio said not to wait on him. Oh shit. Fine. There's something.
Sorry, right.
It's
Never
okay.
finished.
It was hard to tell when it was going to be finished.
Well, Team Cheer, I'll take on looking into Shaman's condition. If you guys have any questions to anything else that need answers, here's where you'll find it, so feel free to do so.
I would technically recommend against splitting up, but I'm sure I would be able to find any of you anywhere in this library. You don't simply forget how to navigate this place. And even saying that, Luxray walks over to one of the walls and just starts walking up it.
Tucker just watches that with wide eyes for a second.
Wait, if we can do that, why do I have to still fly like normal? No one ever said you had to, little Noibat. You just seem to think you have to. And that happens to be enough. As Alakazam follows Luxray onto the wall and then stands there waiting for the rest of you.
Ryder just casually follows.
Mind over matter, huh?
Indeed.
Tucker follows too, kind of hesitantly and awkwardly taking the corner.
So Insight Survival Athletics.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine. This reminds you, weirdly enough, of the Esper's box.
Tucker takes a deep breath as he does realize that he actually does realize that, indeed. And also, well, he's seen enough where he has to follow his instincts on something rather than overthinking it. Oddly enough, this is one of those situations. He has to think about not overthinking.
I should note that, yes, Ryda does know their way around. Ryda doesn't know everywhere in the tower.
Figured as such.
Yes. There are places Ryda has not been and does not know the way to.
As he gets used to his footing, he somewhat surrealistically, that's a hard word to say, sort of turns towards Brooke, who's still on the ground, and mentions surrealistically. It's a hard word to say. I think it's a word. I might be inventing it. I'm not sure. Regardless, he turns towards Brooke, and he expresses, "If you think you can find it on your own, I guess I'll go look up. Well, what should we look up, guys?" He kind of asks the group.
Oh, we could look up anything. Book on distilling, or like, you know, controlling your newfound psychic powers 101.
So, I should note that Ryda knows where the Psychic Lessons for Dummies books are.
Feel like I should point him in that direction, but at the same time, I wanted to see Ralph stumble through this library. I'm really debating this.
I suppose I should look for that first, and then afterwards maybe I'll help Brooke look for his thing.
You asked about emotions, Brooke points out. You could probably look that up.
Yeah, just give me a call if you need me for anything. I guess I'll go on my own too.
Yeah. Ralph will try to make sense of the organizational system on his own and suss out where the beginner guides are.
I think Ryder would say to both Tucker and Ralph and just sort of point them in the general direction of what they're looking for. Maybe not like specifically, but just over there in that general direction is where you want.
We won't be too far apart. We've got a connection, Brooke says with a wink.
Tucker does kind of smirk at that and gives a little nod. That's true. Maybe I can find a book about that too.
Hey, old Mr. Alakazam, do you have books that can teach me how to be stronger? I don't know about teaching you to be stronger, but I won't say no to a challenge. After all, I've been helping tutor Ryda. Hooray!
Tucker also gives a nod over to Ryda as they point out what direction to go. Alright, thanks. How do you pull a book from a shelf when you're standing on the shelf, though?
Oh yes, that's right. Luxray, you had best go with them, if you don't mind, dear Archivist. Luxray pauses, having been, like, 3 yards away, and they just pad back over, just as easy as can be. They have done this plenty of times before. Very well. Surprisingly for Brooke, Florence is still there. He's just looking around at the moment. He looks like he's searching for something, but isn't quite sure what.
So what are you here for? Brooke asks.
Eh? Nothing terribly important. I'm a bard. I'm always curious. I'm sure we'll find something worthy of making songs for. As a reminder, Florence, you aren't to take anything out of the library. Why, I've got the card and everything! Knowing you, you would try to smuggle at least half the library out if you could. Not sure my hat's big enough for all that, but I see your point.
I mean, if you try to steal, want me to just, like, I don't know, rip you in half or something? Or, like, teleport you to the sun?
I fear that you gravely overestimate the head librarian's wrath. Theft is an easy matter. Contrary to what the Indeedee said, the books do technically return themselves.
Oh, that's handy.
Yes, well. They also return with your library card when they do.
Oh, that's really cool.
Not really. The library card also serves as an entry key for outsiders. Without it, you would need to have someone else, a resident, let you in. They sort of gesture over to Rida. Not that that seems to be a problem at the moment.
Ryder just nods at that statement.
I presume Rida has a library card of their own.
Yes.
Okay.
Considering everyone's going off in their directions, I also have a book I am looking for, or knowledge of. Specifically, knowledge on the Dead Star.
Okay, I'm going to use the initiative card to figure out where everyone's going. So,
I gave everybody a library card, by the way.
thank you.
It's a smoothie bard, not a smoothie thief.
This is true. Was Ralph looking for anything specific, or was he just, like, doing the figuring it out thing?
Yeah, yeah, he was gonna try and figure out the system himself, but if he's showing me where the book is, then I'll just go for it. Of course, there's a little something else on his mind too. He's gonna see if he can't find a book on distilling after he let's say that actually actually no, because he doesn't know. Yeah, he'll go for I'll get like a beginner's guide on honing his psychopaths and a distillery guidebook if he can find them both.
Welcome to the Team Cheer Club. We have a daycare and a distillery. Please enjoy yourselves.
Look, if a pub had a daycare section...
It would be so popular.
Multitasking.
No.
So he's like 10 floor down. It's fine. That's worse though, because it's a distillery.
We just got to make sure we don't mix up the formula and the booze. Like we send out like 6 shipments of like Pedialyte to like the local bar.
Right. I'm sorry. Did Brooks' line get read?
I don't,
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Well, try not to get lost, Brooks says to Florence. And for the record, I didn't assume you'd steal anything. I wouldn't have brought you here if I did.
Good to see somebody has some confidence in me. I'll stick with you a while then. You're starting to find something interesting in your wanderings.
I just realized something. Did Luxray demonstrate how to pull a book from a shelf you're standing on?
No.
Oh.
That's the reason Luxray is going with you.
Okay. That's nice of him. I actually missed that little bit, so I will say that Tucker does look grateful and gives a little bit of a nod to Luxray.
Brooke shrugs and starts looking for how to help the shaman. Meaning Brooke and Florence decide to go wandering. This is fine. Yes, it is an awkward conversation. That's why I'm moving away from it. Right. Before you go off, Alakazam stops Tucker and Luxray briefly. Since you're with Luxray, you should be fine. But if you happen to be separated, make sure to present your library card. You are a dark type after all. Few among your number come here. And since you cannot be sensed by our psychic abilities, it makes you a bit of, a curiosity, to put it in the kindest manner.
Tucker kind of thinks for a second at that slight revelation, actually, for him.
Oh, so I might surprise someone?
Well, you might alert security. He does that anime grandpa chuckle as he taps his staff on the floor/wall? Question mark?
Tucker doesn't look so glad to hear that. His eyes going a bit wide.
All right.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
He starts shuffling his bag to make sure his library card's on top so he can pull it out really fast.
Though if you see a Medicham approaching you, do try to get your library card out quickly.
Yes, sir.
Come along with me, little Noibat. I'll see if I can't drill a thing or two into your skull. I didn't know you could learn Heart Drill. Oh, this is going to be an interesting conversation.
I'm sure he's used to literal conversation.
Oh, he is. He is. He has learned how to get through to Rida. And
Also,
it's totally his fault for not being more literal and telling Rida not to interfere.
Also, I will say, if you like the staff prop, I'll try to generate little props in the future. There's a whole ton of things on Tabletop Simulator where it's just like, here's a bunch of random little loose items, and I can just pull it in.
I didn't expect you to do that. That's actually, it's very quaint. I like it.
I had the thought. Yeah, it's part of a weapon set. If you ever need like a rapier, let me know.
Ah, yes, that one day.
Or
and with that,
if Rise needs a cosplay, here you go.
Oh gosh. Look, somebody strapping that to their butt to cosplay Rise is just insulting. But yes, with that, the Alakazam crouches and then jumps off and starts floating elsewhere in the library.
Fair enough.
And you hear Noibat squeaking, "Hey Alakazam, if he's a dark type and immune to psychic stuff, how come Tucker can still walk on walls?"
Does Tucker hear this?
Yes.
Tucker pauses and looks at his footing for a bit longer. To make absolutely sure.
I need you to do Insight Survival Alert again.
Oh no. Or was it you said it, actually, is it alert or last time you said
I'm sorry,
athletic?
athletic.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh no.
You
Roll
start
select.
to feel gravity.
Oh no.
Yeah, you start to feel gravity, and Luxray, thankfully, is in the way of you falling to the floor. So you just sort of slide up against them.
Sorry, I don't understand.
You started
how
thinking
this
about it,
works.
didn't you?
There's been a lot to think about. This place doesn't make a lot of sense, so I guess it's easy to think a little too much.
As far as I'm aware, this was designed for optimal stimulation of the mind. Try not to think too hard about what gravity should be to you, and you'll be fine.
Tucker kind of sighs and tries to clear his mind for a second. Sadly, he does not possess Calm Mind, but...
But yes, eventually you'll start feeling like where you are right now is, you know, the correct place to stand. It just takes a bit. So we'll go. Rida is searching for something they've never heard about before.
Ooh, I like that comment, though. Dark types are vulnerable to their own mind.
Yes.
Yeah, the psychic... The interaction with psychic types is interesting. The black box effect of sorts, but it's not always necessarily a good thing, because, yeah, they are kind of victim to their own mind space, I guess, is the way to put it.
Also, oh no, I split the party again. It's fine. I've learned how to deal with this. So, Rida is looking for something they have never really heard of before. So, how would Rida go about searching for this new information? Because you can always bother other residents for if they might have any insight as to where this information is being kept, or you can just try to search for it yourself.
Ryder would not tell anyone that they're specifically looking for information on Dead Star.
Okay, in which case, give me a... Let's just do a smart survival logic. And it will probably take you a while to get close to where you're going. So that should be 6 dice. Not bad.
Pretty good.
Well, it's a star, so off to the astronomy section with you. It's only logical, right?
Assuming that's not a metaphorical word.
It probably is, but this is also random.
Yeah, they think very literal.
True.
Yes.
True. Metaphors are not in their strong suit.
Besides,
Not even jokes.
eliminating the most logical choice first makes it easier. Brooke, you are with Florence. You're trying to look into mental ailments, because that's effectively what the shaman's condition is.
Actually, everybody's a single right now, right? Except for Tucker and Noibet and Alexam.
No, Florence decided he was going to be with Brooke.
Oh, is he? Are they chill? Are they chilling together? All right, cool.
Florence is chilling with the leader of Team Cheer.
Only Ryder and Ralph are solo.
Okay.
This will also mildly depend on how Brooke is going to start looking for it, because I don't believe Ryda pointed out where that specifically would be. Because Ryda pointed out where the emotion section is, and where the Psychics for Dummies is.
I would say they would point it out, but I also don't want to meta now.
Aw, that's okay, Kyrio, I understand.
That's fair.
But yes. And I can always do your stuff in between everybody else. The advantages of a split party. Ralph.
You.
Are you starting with the psychic lesson books, or are you gonna actually look for distilling first?
I'm gonna start with the psychic lesson books.
Okay.
The more important thing first, and then now you can read my own books.
So you get directed down one of the side tunnel paths, and it's basically the same as walking through a doorway for you. Which, for some reason, it's not a squeeze in spite of your girth. So, conscientiously made architecture.
Oh, that's cool.
And you find yourself in a very orderly chamber that's it's shaped very much like a rectangle instead of like the cylinder of the tower, and it's got rows and rows of shelves that have tables with benches between them, and there's this plaque by the doorway that says educational section. Now you just need to find the right shelf.
Alright. I'll try to suss it out. See if I'm getting hotter.
There are also some Pokemon in here. Well, you would I'll have you do a smart logic survival. This should honestly be very easy for Ralph. But yes, there are some Pokemon around here. You see a few Beheeyem that are floating around. They are gathering books and bringing them over to the benches to often other Pokemon who seem to be first stage Pokemon, most often. Wow. I expected it to be higher. So, Ralph is just a smidge distracted, so you find yourself walking along the shelves, reading the various plaques, trying to figure out how the subjects are organized in this section. And towards the back, where there's this colorful looking area with kids' books, like just before the section that is effectively the kids' educational section, you finally find the shelf, and it's full of yellow and black covered books that are like 100 volumes worth of lessons in how to use psychic abilities.
Ah, nice.
It was all the way back by the children's section.
And, you know, you gotta start somewhere, and I'm a fast learner.
You are a fast learner. In fact, Ralph might blow through all 100 volumes before you have to leave.
Dude, that'd be hardcore.
Have we told you about what happened on Shaman Island yet, Florence? Brooke says, glancing around at the books, looking for what he composes in his head as fixing a broken mind. To some extent, I think it was Riley what told me. Interesting tale, that. Poisoned Isle, saving the peoples of Sea Spray. I'll need to pull out my notebook. Some of the details slip my mind. Well, Ralph gets to flipping through psychic lesson books. Which, by the way, Ralph,
Yeah.
go ahead and give yourself a tick for psychic.
Assuming you can click your sheet.
Yes, assuming you can click your sheet. If not, I'm sure I or Charem can do so.
Oh, he did it. He's typing.
Okay. It's worth checking.
It hates you the most, so it's worth asking. Honestly, though, I really appreciate these sheets. Reminder, they were done by an incredibly awesome person who is unfortunately not with us anymore. Not to bring down the mood, but I still appreciate what they did.
True. These are very awesome sheets. I love them. But yes, there are benefits to reading books.
Reading in my fantasy game? Who could imagine?
Indeed. While I wait for a response, we will swap over to Tucker and Luxray. We're going to walk further up the tower, and whenever you look in the distance, it seems like there's this hazy sort of purplish mist at the very edges of where you can see whenever you look up. And as you eventually move further and further up, it also happens when you look down towards the reception area.
Oh, draw distance.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh look, rendering distance. But yeah, effectively that.
That's not an in-canon line. I just had to say it that way.
I know, but still, it's funny.
Well, Tucker keeps an eye out for whatever categorization there is, assuming there are probably signs here. And, well, I guess I should have listened to Tubby.
Oh no.
Just a moment. Don't forget any of those psychic ticks, Tubby. Kyrio, save what you were writing. Save what you're writing right now.
Too late.
Okay. Oh, God damn it.
No!
Sorry, I said that too slowly. Oh well. Wednesday in Steam, everyone. It's fine.
It's every day in Steam.
Every day in Steam, everyone. Tubby advised saving earlier. We hadn't done anything of note, but technically something was added to the sheet. So theoretically should have saved, yes. Alright, give me a second just to get the music back up. Oh, table's back.
It's okay. I apologize if this has been a bit of a sleepy session.
It's okay. It's a library.
Having fun.
Do you expect action-packed library shenanigans? I don't know. I mean, maybe. Maybe that could happen. But...
Maybe.
The most action-packed thing that happens in most libraries is the librarian shushing you.
I don't know. Florence better be careful. Librarian here is Mewtwo.
True. It's one hell of a head librarian. Also, I fixed your sheet too, Ralph. I added that back in.
It is a perfectly good reason to ask me research questions between sessions, if I'm being honest. It's okay. I've gotten used to you guys having the parties split, especially in a situation like this. Because you're effectively in a town. Oh no!
What?
My notes!
Oh shit, did you have stuff written there?
It's fine. I just noted who was doing what. Also, oh no, the staff!
Oh yeah, that. I can regenerate it.
It's fine. I'll quickly pull stuff back.
Staff is important. There we go. Fixed. All right, Wolf. Thanks for letting me know. Good. I will do a table save now. There. All right. If I recall where we left off, should I wait for you? Should I wait for you, Car, or should I?
Oh, I'm already in.
I mean, technically, I was just about to have a Tucker line. So should I continue?
Oh no, you're fine.
Okay, I'll continue then. Ah, I see those notes.
I didn't notice I timed out. There we go.
Yep, it happened. Okay.
Right, because we were doing Tucker and Luxray.
Yeah, we had just switched to them, and I was about to.
Yes.
I was about to say something. So, you mentioned the draw distance, and Tucker will note that. He won't say draw distance though.
Go on.
But Tucker will express just as they walk along, and Tucker will be looking around the shelves, looking at labels, and just trying to see what he can find. Anything involving emotions, or indeed the Pokemon of emotions, which was, I think, the spirit. But as he does so, he will also make an aside to Luxray and express...
So, it seems like this place is full of psychic types. How did you get into this library?
To be more accurate, you should ask, how did my clan come to be in the library?
Yeah, I don't know much about your clan, actually, besides, well, that it exists.
I'm not entirely certain of the history. It's never been of interest to me. It's something I could always look up at my leisure. Wasn't new. Luxray tilts his head and starts looking around. You can sort of feel a very subtle, sort of static aura around him as he's doing that too. Like there's a hum in your ear.
Tucker's fluff probably gets a little floofier at that.
We were particularly useful in the early days, or so I'm told. Our ability to see through objects made it easy to obtain and locate things. It still does. The hum fades. I found the emotion section. This way. And he starts circling around the circumference of the chamber, taking you to one of the portals.
Alright.
Tucker's kind of impressed how quickly, indeed, it was found. Also, I had to pause there and actually open Bulbapedia, because I didn't know that.
Yes. That is one of the cooler facts about Luxray, is that they have X-ray vision.
I had no idea. That was what I never knew about. Huh. Requires the law of electricity to use. Oh, that explains the hum. Okay. Huh.
Yep.
The more you know.
It's why they have the fairly unique looking eyes compared to a lot of Pokemon.
That's fair. They are unusual.
But you and Luxray find yourselves in this kind of spherical looking chamber. That it almost feels claustrophobic at first, given the way that the shelving is inset in the walls, but it almost feels like there's not enough space. Luxray furrows their brow. There's a lot of holes in the shelves. Oh dear, are people disconnecting again?
I got disconnected.
Would be prudent to pre-save.
I'm
not surprised. Steam does this.
Just come on back when you can, or I'll reinvite.
That's unusual.
Tucker kind of looks around.
Most of the tomes are missing. And the chamber seems smaller. The tower doesn't usually restructure itself like this. Someone must be hoarding the books.
Restructure? Is that a thing you can do?
I suppose I should explain. The tower is... It both is and isn't a physical space. It's not outside reality in the same way as the Dragon's Path. It sits somewhere in between. It exists in the Mist Continent. I've seen it from a distance. But inside is malleable.
Actually, I do know a space like that before. When we were up in the mountains, there was this box.
Tucker kind of does a little shudder.
I really hope they don't mess with anybody again.
He
So
kind of
as you
mumbles and trails off.
As you mentioned the box, by the way, there's a pair of Meowstick that are just sitting, floating off to the side in this room, upside down, with a tea table, sipping tea and having, like, little tea cakes.
Tucker does pause at that. In fact, freeze at that. Just kind of look at them for a second. And then
The
slowly,
female
cautiously... Oh, yeah? Go ahead.
The female Meowstick lowers the cup of tea. Like I said, they're upside down. Everything seems to be adhering to their gravity, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look. Tofu's playmates. The male one looks over, also setting down their tea on, like, a little tea plate and letting it float off to the side. Shall we offer them tea? The pot is empty. They can have the cakes, then. You don't need them. And they just pop out of existence, and like, the table follows them. It's just a series of and then in front of you is a little pack of what look to be tea cakes.
Oh. Tucker goes wide-eyed as they mention playmates. And as they pop away, he just kind of tilts his head very dramatically while keeping the wide-eyed expression. He actually does jump back when the last pop happens with the cakes appearing in front.
Oh. Don't mind them. You'll find many such eccentric souls in the tower. You can take those if you like. They're harmless. I think. As Luxray turns around and sort of pokes his head out of the emotion section.
Tucker gives the cakes a sniff and then very slowly draws them into his bag, taking them.
They smell very sweet.
Ooh. He will examine them more. He will scrutinize them later. Getting back on the task at hand, though, Tucker does look around the section and at the empty sections of shelves.
Is everyone stuck at the 3-book limit? Or is there just a lot... Is there a lot of Pokemon that have checked things out, you think? Or does somebody have another objective and take a whole bunch?
I might need to ask someone in the clan about this. This is highly irregular. Though, I suppose it's not unheard of. Most of the time it's outsiders and archivists that are limited to personally taking out books and tomes. Residents are usually free to do as they please. They can always set the book back Set the books back themselves.
Tucker thinks hard for a second, kind of recounting what he remembers from libraries in the past.
Well, if somebody did take them, wouldn't there be a record of who checked them out?
We'll have to go back to the... there I go.
Oh no!
He's on again.
Oh god, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna save again, just because. Steam will not defeat us.
I'm gonna exit Tabletop Sim.
Goodbye, literally everyone. Pop. Speaking of popping noises, pop. Gone.
Also, hello, person who likes Luxrays.
I noticed that. Welcome, Extastis, actually. That's your first time chat, so welcome here.
We'll have to go back to the reception. They'll surely have a record there. I could explain to you how it works, but it would be a bit long-winded.
That's okay. I can just see how it works, I guess.
Trust me, they'll give you the long-winded explanation as well.
Tucker kind of grins nervously at that. Oh yes, friends don't exist right now. I'm checking the friends list. It's gone.
Scree. Right. Who haven't we gone to? We haven't gone to...
Let's see.
Oh, no, I think we've gone to everybody at this point.
The only one you didn't really give context for was Alakazam and Noibat.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, but
If
that's
they're doing
Glimpse
anything.
material.
Clips
Yeah.
material. Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna restart the room, I guess. Oh well, no, it kicked me anyways. I had a feeling it probably would. Ugh.
Alright, in which case, people can prep for when I get back to them. Ralph, how long are you going to study the self-help books before you go do something else?
Well, since I tore through that one pretty quick, suppose I'll grab the next volume before I get the books on how to make my own booze.
Okay. Yeah, you won't even need to leave the educational section. Fun fact, if Ralph does just leave a book lying around in its own section, it will slowly start to float back to its own space.
Nice. I need that at home.
That's convenient.
Like IRL. I need that.
They implemented that because the worst thing about being a librarian is fixing the disorganized books. So you have to do that constantly as a librarian. People don't put things back where they got them.
It doesn't do... it doesn't happen for all the books, but it happens for the self-help books.
Lowest common
nice.
denominator expected for those, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I had to restart the program. I think it's good now. Let me do a little test load.
I did go to Brook, kind of, Wolf. Unfortunately, the game has not been particularly conducive since that moment.
Oh, well. Should be back now. Pop, pop.
Wouldn't be Pokerole without some scuff.
Scuff is required. As Steam is required to have scuff, I guess. Alright, there we go. That should do. It is really interesting, though, how some of our Pokerole sessions are barely, if never, interrupted, while others are interrupted a few times. I wouldn't mind whatever the hell they're doing if it was consistent, right? Like,
I agree.
downtime at X moment for X minutes, and then good or something that'd be fine. But when it's so random, that's what's annoying about it. Hell, if it was reliable, I would just schedule us a logical break at that time.
Yeah. Water and stretch break.
Yeah. That was Steam gaming. That was Steam.
Also, I think someone mentioned a psychology section before, but that is basically where Brooke and Florence are currently headed toward.
Fair. That makes sense.
In fact, while Brooke is exploring with Florence, they're going to pass by a section where there's just a Malamar floating kind of in the center of the tower chamber, in this suspended bubble of water. Just doing the Malamar squinty thing as they watch you pass by. For those that don't remember, Malamar was the really weird Pokemon that I think it leveled up at 44 and you had to hold the DS upside down or something.
Yeah, and having not played Sun and Moon, when I got that thing in Sword and Shield, I was very confused. It was actually quite a hassle because I was playing the game docked for recording purposes, and all of a sudden I had to remove the Switch to evolve this damn thing.
Brooke is too concentrated on talking to Florence to pay it much mind. The shaman had some weird abilities, and when we defeated them, it was taken away without much consideration for their health. Worst of all, I think those creepy jerks then made me their replacement. Brooke shrugs. Kinda hard not to feel... responsible? Florence actually looks at Brooke with a serious expression. Oh yeah, there's fan art.
I can't remember where it stopped. What was the last piece of fan art I shared? Actually, wait, it should be over here. Let's see. Ah, the right. Okay. Let me share that. Started with this piece. That piece. And not that. That's a secret. That's how I color it. I'll have to do an art stream at some point, actually. For the sake of our thumbnails. And as Kyrio types, I will share this. This! Which was done by Fair. Which is cute. It's not how the Hackstress was defeated, but Tucker would like it to be this way. This is how the story should go.
Adorable.
Also, Enio and Sabachi both worked on this.
I mean, I know I wasn't the one that hurt them directly, but I've mostly been trying to master this aspect thing in order to get back at the ones that did. He clenches his fists a little. If they want to use me, I'm sure gonna use them back. Aye, that's understandable. Perhaps I ought to tell you a story, instead of you telling me one for once. Be an actual bard. He smirks. A long time ago, someone foolish decided that they needed to be strong. And an even bigger fool sought only to fool around, to live their days easy and lackadaisical. So one trained, and one sang. Brothers, but you would never think so. And one caught the eye of someone very powerful. Though you wouldn't think it at first glance. A spirit free and a heart warm tend to draw such individuals together. And yet where one knew joy, the other knew jealousy. The tale does not end kindly, as you might guess. One slew the other, but now none can say which brother was which. Both were marked. Both have fought. And in the end, both sang, in order to try and win favor of that powerful someone. Course, said that one brother did terrible things to get what he wanted, while the other gave all they had from their heart. And they gave and they gave, until they'd give no more, and could only take in turn. Oh, before I forget, Tucker.
Yes.
And I know you're a bit busy showing off neat fan arts.
Well, actually, I was trying to. I was lowering the encoding. What you need though?
Luxray does show you how to pull out a book.
Oh,
Yeah. Since there are still some left in the emotions section, he goes ahead and shows you how to pull the book out. And since this is a mostly spherical looking room, for those that haven't caught on, the room is actually kind of brain shaped. On purpose. But what he does is he places a paw on the spine of the book and then lifts it up, and the book follows with him.
huh? Like magnet.
Yes. And then he carefully uses his jaws to carry it the rest of the way, because you can only slide it out of the shelf that way. You can't, like, lift it and pull it around and flip it open.
This is fair.
And if there's any better time to at least start looking at some of the stuff that's here before heading down to reception, now is a good time. That way you don't have to keep going back and forth.
True. A lot of the books are missing. That doesn't mean the section's entirely empty, so...
True, if it was entirely empty, that would be very concerning.
Alright. In that case, Tucker will look around. I don't know if there should be a roll to see if he can find something he would find relevant to him.
What is Tucker looking for specifically, emotions-wise?
Well... I guess he would actually express this to Luxray too, thinking about it. So while they are in the section before they head out to figure out where the rest of the books are, Tucker will give a little bit of a look over to see if there's anything there that would benefit him still. And he would explain to Luxray along the way.
You probably already noticed, but I seem to have the ability of connection. And such as like when I opened the gate to the Dragon's Path the first time alongside Noibat. That's not the first time I've done something like that. But connecting with others has a toll. I think it's all tied to emotions and feelings. I'd like to learn more about it, if there's a book here for that. And then what Alakazam said about the spirit, I didn't know that Pokemon. If they're about emotions, perhaps they could teach me more too.
If you're looking for Mesprit, they aren't here. This is Uxie's domain. You may have seen their head carved into the Alakazam staff. But you're unlikely to meet them as well.
But there's gotta be a book here that tells me where they might be, right? With this much knowledge.
There would, but it wouldn't be in this section. This is merely about the study of emotions. If you're looking for specific Pokemon, if you're looking for the legendaries, then that's another section entirely. But if you want to try reading some of these books, I won't stop you. Though, he pauses and gives Tucker a sympathetic look. You're a bit young to be reading such heavy tomes.
Tucker gives Luxray a rather genuine smile for a moment.
I've had to deal with a lot of heavy things.
He expresses quite openly.
We can look through what's left here, but I warn you, it's mostly going to be words. And unfortunately, as much as I adore my home, it's going to be very dry.
Well, the spirit might be my best bet. But maybe some of these books could also help me learn a little bit more.
He will look to see if there is a book here that may help him out. It seems like his best bet is me and that Pokemon, but perhaps just academic learning on the subject of emotions might also help him. Even if it is dry and maybe not very fun to read. He'll still give it a shot if he could check out something here.
Okay. 2 rolls. One is... We'll go with smart contest logic
Okay.
first.
Perfectly middle range.
You find a book that seems very generic. Just like the generic... just a generic book about emotions as a whole. It's not particularly thick, but it definitely looks like Luxray said it would be. Like, it would be a particularly dry read. And now let's do a vitality contest performed to see if you can maintain your focus long enough to get through more than a chapter.
Tucker will open it up to see if he can find any value in the book, basically.
It is very dry and generic explanations on emotions and emotional cues and what they mean for different Pokemon of different types. So while it might be interesting as I've iterated several times, this is drier than a saltine cracker.
Tucker kind of reads over for a bit, processing a little bit of the information and noticing how some of it's a little bit useful, but he kind of after a bit he sighs and closes the book.
I think I see the problem here. It's academics about emotions. That's not the best way to learn emotions. Or learn about emotions.
You strike me as someone who learns better in experience than through academics.
Tucker nods to that.
I have learned the most through the experiences I've had. And the connections I've made. So maybe if I connected with that Pokemon... if they would even allow that.
Unlikely. It would be unwise to try and intimately connect with a legendary. Luxray has just sort of become a cat loaf beside you as they've been watching you read. The amount of power that a legendary wields, and to cross them, even unwittingly, is dangerous. Mesprit is the spirit of emotions. They can cause you to lose yours.
Tucker pauses at that thought.
Would they do that for no reason?
They are capricious, but they are not cruel. From what I understand, in Elden times, the three spirits guarded something, and so they used their abilities to deter others from it. Mesprit would steal emotions from others as a punishment. Uxie would steal from them knowledge. And Azelf would take from them their willpower.
That sounds scary, but it does sound like what a legendary could achieve.
Indeed.
Well, I'd be on my best behavior, but I would like to try to meet them all the same. Even if it isn't a good idea to connect with them, permission or no, I would at least like to learn from them if they would be willing to tell me anything.
We shall see. If their location is relatively common knowledge here in the tower, it won't be in the restricted sections. Let's go back to the reception. We'll see who checked out all these books. And we'll see if we can find what you're looking for.
Tucker nods. He puts away the book, or rather puts it near where it slots and watches as it drifts, hopefully back to where it should be.
Unfortunately, it's not a self-help book. It doesn't drift back
Darn.
on its own. Yeah, the Luxray puts it back for you. It's fine. Thankfully, you can do the paw thing with it if you're putting it back. Brooke listens silently to Florence before saying, "Giving everything you have to someone sounds self-deprecating," he says. "Strength is overrated and easy to abuse. And having none at all will tie your hands. Man, regrets sure are a pain. Aye, on that we can agree." Lawrence sighs, tipping his hat down a bit. "But ne'er's anyone to live without regret. For it's with regrets that we learn and grow. Same as our mistakes." But, gloomy subjects aside, he puts an arm around Brooke's shoulder and tugs them over and points at a plaque that's just above one of the portalways that says psychology. Think this is what we're looking for?
This can wait for
Right.
other people. Okay.
Yes. Ryda. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I haven't interacted with you much. Oh god. Give me 1 sec, I have to say this one. Psycho logging. Perk sounds it out. This sounds advanced. Yup, and the mind's a complicated thing, so it's probably what we're looking for. Maybe. I have no idea what the word means. He says, just like hands on his hips, looking all confident and projecting chipperness. Okay, now for Ryda.
Confidently and confident.
Completely unflappable. Ryda.
Yes.
You go searching for this subject. And you peruse through the astronomy section because that's the most logical place to go. And you find nothing about it. There is no mention of any sort of dead star in the same kind of context in gravitas as was spoken by the council. You have found some knowledge on the subject of, yeah, stars die and sometimes they become other things, but that doesn't seem to be what you're looking for.
Perhaps the search should be broadened to include things like aspects or unnamed entities or redacted name sort of things.
Well, the only area you can think of that would have that is a section you don't know the way to. And that is the restricted knowledge section.
Figured that would be where the information lies.
Something, something. We're going to the restricted section, Harry.
Yep.
So how do you plan to find the restricted section, I wonder?
Assuming it's a restricted area, it would try and be hidden. And since everyone's a psychic type, it has to be hidden from the mind. Which makes me think some sort of dark type thing. So maybe instead of searching for something, search for nothing, if that makes sense. Search for an absence of thing.
Or throw Tucker at random walls until one falls apart.
Out of character, maybe you could also look up the dragon that's supposedly trying to keep it at bay. Yes. But, the Lord of Balance. As they were referred to. Either way, that would lead you to... like, prominent entities would lead you to the legendary section, which you do know the way to.
Would you guys tolerate if I quickly restarted TTS for something?
Sure.
Okay. Just continue on as normal, unless you have to do sound table. I won't be long.
Okay. I will have Ryda roll a thing when we get back.
Okay.
In which case, I will swap over to Ralph. Ralph, you peruse the educational section until you find a singular shelf. Well, not shelf. Is it shelf? And it
I think
a
shelf's the
library
word.
case.
Oh.
A bookcase. Sorry,
Oh, wow, I
a
didn't
bookcase,
know
not a
this
shelf.
Mhm.
That is dedicated to the. According to the plaque on the side of it, fermentation and distillation of reagents.
Ooh. All right, let's find one. Perhaps specifically stuff that can be grown on the Plains continent. Willing to.
Alright, sorry about that. Fortunately, it didn't fix it. Oh well.
It's doing the text thing, isn't it?
No, I'm. Internet's just being stupid, and we're having the occasional frame drop. So I went to try to fix it, but then everything froze up, and now I can't actually do anything with XSplit's HUD, even after closing TTS, which I thought would unfreeze it. So
Darn
rip.
it.
I will literally have to Alt F4 to end the stream today. Let's put it that way.
I do not need to be promoted right now. I'm fine.
Okay.
I
can do it anyways.
Okay. Since Ryda is here, I will have Ryda roll to find their way to the legendary section and where they are. That is further up the tower, so you want Insight, Survival, Athletic.
I thought of something.
Yeah.
And I also accidentally knocked something over. But after I look up the distillery book, I should pick up one on Bronzar Anatomy to bring back to Mall Isle. So we can help like take the thing apart and see how it works.
Not a bad plan.
Oh yeah.
So, Ralph, go ahead and give me, give me a smart contest logic, which is actually a very good roll for you. Unfortunately for you, Ryda, you are briefly accosted by some of the residents who are greeting you and trying to get you to join them in their studies and or whatever experiment they are doing today.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate indeed. So that does delay your search just a bit.
Is that me?
The 9 is you, yes.
Well, yeah, the 9 is me, but the
That was Kyrio.
So Ralph, you find a thick leather-bound book that shows you how to piece by piece build a distillery and lists at least a dozen different varieties of hops and barley both, like the Pokemon equivalent thereof.
Yeah.
As well as oops, just a thing where I see, oh, Discord needs an update, I should do that, and failed to remember it was literally on a Discord call.
Oh yeah, I've done that before.
The different like fruits that ferment well.
Yes, the different berries
Nice.
and fruits that ferment well, and how it should be stored and for how long.
Nice. We do have ourselves a nifty basement. From what little IRL knowledge I have, because I've looked into this, I know it needs nice dark, cool space. Most of the time.
There's also warnings in several margins that seem to be handwritten about fungal Pokemon taking over distilleries because of where they get placed.
Well, we live in a pretty dry place, so I can't imagine there'll be Two awful many fungal Pokemon bothering us.
We have a supply of honey.
Yeah,
You could make mead.
yes, I could. But yeah, with that in hand, the idea of a book on Bronzor anatomy comes to me. That is what Mawile has, right?
She has a not a clay doll. She has a ball toy, but I believe she was also given the bronze. Yeah, the Bronzor recently as well.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
given
we were
access
messing
to
with the
it.
bronze one.
That's right. Yeah. In which case,
Maybe there's a book on like construct anatomy or like object Pokemon anatomy.
Are you going to search in the education section, or are you going to ask one of the Behemoth that are floating around?
Yeah, I'll ask Behemoth for like books on advanced biology. Specifically things like Bronzor and Claydol.
Ah, this section is mostly basic education. You want physiology?
Yes.
They
One
pause
and I will use my awesome psychic powers to up and away over there. Because we can do that here.
They pause and look at the tome in your hand and tilt their head quizzically. Oh. I did not realize that was in this section. Curious. It's this way. And they lead you out of the education section, and they point you...
Maybe it wasn't there. Maybe I just really wanted it to be, so it was.
That's possible.
That's how it works, ain't it?
If you are of sufficient psychic strength, it's possible the library restructured itself and allowed a shelf to... blah 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 words. Sorry. And allowed a shelf of the information you desired to pop up nearby. If you are of sufficient psychic strength.
Really wanted to get...
Or it could just be of educational worth and didn't fit anywhere else.
Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna follow where he points. I'm gonna try and float there.
Yep, the Behemoth points with their arm, and they, like, the lights on their arm flicker a bit, and, you know, they effectively do a laser pointer for you further down the tower, much closer to reception. To
Nice,
another, to a series of shelves that look like they're lining the wall and just curve with it. Physical sciences should be there.
Sweet, let's go.
The Behemoth shrugs and just goes with you, because why not? They have all the time in the world.
I'm gonna tell him about my awesome, super cute girlfriend back home, and how we have this decommissioned Bronzor, and we've been poking it and prodding, but we can't work out how it works.
Curious. I wonder if it's a construct, or just a normal steel type. Now I'm most fascinated by this subject. I shall help you find the books necessary.
Sweet.
We'll want to look into the physiology of steel types specifically. I know exactly the shelves to look at.
You know, on the real, in high school, I opted into anatomy and physiology just because I wanted a harder science, because I really like science.
Science is pretty interesting, honestly.
So, Ryda, once you have finally extricated yourself from that awkward situation, mostly by being you,
Just out awkward them.
you have out-awkwarded them and just... They were unable to goad you into the excitement of their experiment, and so they just decided to let you be. Who needs a Dewey Decimal System? Just befriend a nerd that knows where stuff is. Pretty much.
Unless that nerd is named Dewey.
You end up floating yourself past the Malamar. That does watch you, by the way. And you find yourself in front of a rather ostentatious gateway compared to everything else. That has a plaque labeled Myth and Legend. And like this plaque is even ornately engraved. Like this is a very specifically distinct section.
Seems I have found the right place.
And you go in, and it vaguely resembles a temple of sorts. Yeah, I know there's a specific term for like the very open concept Greek temple that has the pillars. Is it a Partholon? Or
The only thing that comes to mind is Pantheon.
I think Pantheon is like a group of gods.
Yeah, Pantheon is a group of gods. Parthenon.
Parthilion? Parthilion, was it? Or
No, Parthenon is a specific place. I'm sorry. I am sorry, everyone. I don't have a word for it. But, yeah. Parthenon is a specific place. It's kind of what I'm thinking of. But, of course, there are walls, and they are lined with the glass lamps. These are lit with amber lights instead of the usual, like, lavender and darker blue hues. And you are looking for stuff on the Dead Star, aspects, vessels, that sort of thing. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a smart contest logic, please. Oh no, amber lamps.
Whoa!
Oh boy!
oops.
You know where this place is. You haven't been here in forever. Because why would you need to? Right? No one was more important than your mistress. Clearly.
Just the rolls keep getting worse.
Why look at books about Pokemon that think you're important when you can stare at the one that's important? In the orb.
I like to imagine they just got distracted and like, I should check up on Brooke, and then looks at the orb.
I'm okay with that. Just looks at the orb, you see what Brooke is doing.
This is how it goes. You roll for something important, 0. You roll to find booze, 9.
Yep. Hey, look, finding that could be important in Mercantile.
True.
Only the legendaries are gonna want booze.
I mean, some might. Though I will state that if you do actually look into the Seer Orb to look at Brooke, you do see, like, from a third-person point of view, Florence putting his arm around Brooke and gesturing to the psychology section sign. And you can even hear Brooke mispronouncing psychology. It's almost like scrying in the tower is easiest.
I will say getting a legendary drunk might make some of them more agreeable.
Hey, look, if RuneScape questing has taught me anything, it's that giving other people alcohol can solve all your problems.
Legitimate strategy in a tabletops game, I'd say.
Yep. Right. Flipping back to Tucker and Luxray, you head back down to reception where the Indeedee are. And Luxray nudges you towards the desk once you have gotten your footing again.
Tucker approaches the receptionist and expresses,
Excuse me.
Yes, how may we help you? The Indeedee say in unison.
Oh, the emotion section is really empty. I was wondering, who checked out all the books?
I do recall a recent... Oh god, what was the word? I haven't been to the library in forever. Shoot.
I don't know, Mr. D, but you shouldn't use Arceus' name in vain.
This... Okay, that was out of character, you... I recall there was a withdrawal of multiple tomes and pieces of knowledge recently. Far more than usual. I'm certain that we have the record somewhere. And suddenly, like, a bunch of cupboards behind them start opening up, and you hear the rifling of paper as files are just ruffled through with their psychic abilities. And then the one gets a surprised look on their face. Oh, this is the one. And a file slides out of one of the cabinets, and they all start closing except for that one. And they present you with the file.
Tucker will take a look.
Luxray sort of peeks over your head as the Indeedee taps on the piece of paper. It seems this was a research request by Hatterene. They've probably holed themselves up somewhere.
Huh. I wonder why they needed to have so many books all of a sudden.
Hatterene makes a habit of getting a collection of tomes, and then doesn't leave their hiding spot for days. Unfortunately, their psychic power is strong enough that they're able to manipulate the tower. You may have a hard time getting to them. They like their privacy.
Tucker kind of nods at this.
Well, that's fair. But if I could borrow at least one, well... I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but there's a good chance that one of the books they took would help me.
If you can find Hatterene, I'm sure they would share with you. Then again, they would be somewhat forced to, I believe. If you can get past the defenses that the tower weaves around them.
Tucker thinks thoughtfully at that.
Maybe I could. Is there any knowledge at all where they might be? Even just a basic direction?
There aren't usually many nooks and crannies to hide in this tower. She can't be in the archivist space, can she? She might be. Of course, nobody's gone after them after... The last time, it didn't end particularly well. At least no knowledge was lost. Hatterene copied everything that got destroyed. You could ask the head librarian. Both Indeedee gestured upward. They'll be at the top of the tower.
Tucker thinks about that for a second.
Maybe that would be faster. Especially since Well, I don't know this place quite too well. Besides, it might be good to meet who runs this place.
Thank you, Ndidi. You are welcome. Anything else we can help you with?
I think that's everything. Thank you very much.
The Ndidi bow, the file floats back into its place, and the cabinet snaps shut, and they return to what they were doing.
Tucker returns the bow before turning away.
Looks like we're going to be walking for a little bit. I suppose it's better than stairs.
So, the head librarian is Mewtwo.
Correct.
How long have they been in that position?
Luxray blinks and thinks about it. I don't know. Mewtwo isn't like many other Pokemon. I would assume that they've been here since the tower was made.
Tucker kind of paws at his chin for a second.
Maybe they made the tower?
Not by themselves, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were key in its creation. Their psychic might is unmatched. Well, I believe so anyway. They're incredibly strong. It wouldn't surprise me if the nature of the tower was mostly due to them.
Well, if it's strong enough for even allowing a dark type like me to walk on walls, that must be pretty strong.
It may surprise you to know that that's not necessarily a psychic ability.
What else could it be?
A fairy type move.
In that case, it makes sense why it affects me.
That is partially one of the reasons why dragons allow us to be on our own. A number of fairies are also psychic types.
I guess a mutual alliance is better for both parties.
It is. Balance is kept. Knowledge is guarded. And it allows us to go where we need to and where we please.
About that,
Tucker kind of does look up at the still rather endless looking ceiling.
exactly how tall is this tower?
I don't think I've ever measured it. I'm sure we could find the information.
I guess walking gives you the information too.
One of the Ndidi just leans over. It's better not to ask. You'll feel tired thinking about it. Better to start walking. It'll be easier to have such a talkative companion.
Tucker does a little bit of a nod,
Well, I guess we'll find out.
and he does start heading up the wall. Now seem a little more comfortable of it.
Brooke, if you can give me a smart contest logic to see if we can find you a book on the subject you're looking for.
There was one last little quip I had for Tucker.
I figured. I just remembered that I needed Brooke to roll.
Oh, fair. Oh, just, I was going to close out by saying...
Well, at least going straight up is faster than using stairs.
So, Brooke, you and Florence are able to peruse through the book titles on their spines and things like that. And interestingly enough, one thing you are noticing is that a lot of these books have varying titles. Some are in PokeScript, some are in human, some are in some sort of cuneiform language that you don't quite recognize. Some are in unknown script. But you do find a book titled Common Mental Ailments. That seems to be what you're looking for. Seems as good a place as any... Seems as good as any place to start. Rook looks through the book to see if he can find anything that matches Shaman's condition. There are a few things that are listed, and by the way, a lot of them have relatively long and fancy terms for what could be described much more simply. But there are a few things that seem like they sort of match, but don't entirely match the Shaman's condition.
Oops.
But this gives you a start, and from what you can understand, it is clearly brought on by some form of trauma, which makes it easier to find a more specific book for what you want. Meanwhile, Florence is just flipping through books and putting them back, looking particularly bored. Because none of this looks like stuff he's interested in, unfortunately. But he's here to be, you know, company. Brooke squints at some of the words, trying to sound them out like a 5th grader. I knew this was going to be hard. I'm more bite than think. He sighs, but he manages to narrow his search. It takes you about an hour, but you are able to find a book that's specifically about trauma and what that does to a psyche. The best that you can figure through the incredibly dry and dense text of the tome is that the trauma is probably both physically and mentally related. In layman's terms, the shaman already had a mental break at some point, but the physical trauma of having something important ripped away from them, as well as whatever metaphysical thing was taken away from them, simply caused their mind to shut down. All but the most basic functions. Not quite a coma, but close.
Is the word catatonic appropriate?
Fairly.
I don't remember how that relates to comas, or if it's separate or not.
I do believe it's separate. And I apologize to anyone for, like, if I'm being super inaccurate. because I am not a professional. Like, as a disclaimer, anything I am running my mouth off about here, I am not a professional. You are free to correct me.
Of course. Disclaimer, disclaimer.
One of the traumas the book does talk about is spiritual trauma. Because ghost-type Pokemon exist. And more than a few of them have the ability to steal life force. So on that end, spiritual trauma, otherwise called metaphysical trauma, can often have adverse effects on the psyche, and can even result in changes of personality. Which is not to be confused with possession. That is entirely different and not necessarily a mental ailment.
Yeah, quite true, Fair. I don't need to believe the trauma could shut somebody down. I've been there.
Brooke comes. This is helpful for explaining what's going on, but I don't know if we can actually do anything with this on our own. I wonder if someone around here is an expert. Oi, well, we better get searching then! As Florence stretches and gets up from the desk he'd been sitting at. Better than pounding our heads at these books like academics. Know what we're good at, aye?
I feel like I should go help Denton after I'm faded my curiosity.
Oh, speaking of Ralph, as you were floating down with your Bohemian friend, you pass Tucker and Luxray as they are walking up the tower.
I'm gonna wave.
Tucker waves too, though he seems slightly unsteady still, lifting a paw like that.
Luxray reminding Tucker for the umpteenth time to stop thinking about gravity.
Yes, that is a dog.
Yeah, not really my thing. Pretty sure I dropped out of school to travel the world, Brooks says with a chuckle. Sounds kind of like me. Except I didn't exactly have formal educating to become a bard in the first place. All natural talent, this. And he just draws his fingers across his chest to strum. Receives a bit of a shushing from one of the residents.
Oh yeah, since I didn't really comment on it, BEM has been spawned in since they're gonna be following Ralph around for a bit.
But yes. Ryda, at this point, go ahead and see if you can't do a smart contest logic again.
It's worse than 0.
Anything's better than 0.
Next, suddenly a -1 somehow.
Oh gosh, please no. I guess Brooke will start asking around for a nerd that's interested in this subject.
8.
Wonderful. So, you learn something particularly interesting as you're sort of asking around. And generally speaking, by the way, there's effectively two or three types of Pokemon that are currently in the tower that you can chat with. There's the ones that don't want to be disturbed, the ones that'll happily talk your ear off about something, and the ones that are currently doing research or experimenting, which can also fall into either of the other camps. you eventually get told that Hatterene happens to be something of an expert when it comes to dealing with damaged minds. And you hear something very interesting on this subject. Hatterene is responsible for putting Rida back together.
Huh.
And that's how Alakazam was able to become Rida's tutor.
Now,
As
is this Brooke learning this, right?
Brooke is learning this.
Okay.
Rida, you're looking into aspects in the Dead Star and stuff. Just to reiterate.
Yeah.
While you don't find mention of the Dead Star, and I will get to Brooke in a second, you do find a book in the Myth and Legend section about the aspects of existence. And it seems to be a very theoretical, or like a theoretical hypothesis about part of the nature of effectively existence itself and fundamental pillars that keep it up and form it, and high-level philosophical concepts like the oversoul and things like that.
Interesting.
And how the collective conscience helps build these pillars in order to keep everything working. Which is why when one pillar goes away, it either is replaced or returns. And why it would be utterly catastrophic if those that are already in existence would be taken without being replaced. One of the prime examples in the book being, if someone were to slay Palkia or Dialga, that could spell the end of everything if something or someone else did not take their place.
See.
Heck, doesn't even have to be slaying, can be corrupting. As we've seen.
Well,
Those of us that have played certain games, anyways.
I have not played certain games, but the specific example is slain. But then the example is quickly followed with, but that will probably never happen because legendaries of that magnitude are simply too strong to be slain by normal means.
Mm-hmm.
Ryder will hold on to that book.
Fair enough. You can note somewhere in your text box that you have a tome called Aspects of Existence.
Oh, yeah, technically I should probably have just known the library cards in our descriptions. They're such a low profile item, I don't really feel like bank space is really a factor on them.
It's fine. I'm not worried about that. At least not right now.
Oh wait, actually we lost those anyways. The library cards were lost to the to Steam update. That's right.
It's fine.
It's all good.
You have the tea cakes, right?
I didn't mark. Whoop. No, I lost those too. No, wait, no, I didn't.
How dare!
I did not lose them. Never mind. I do have the tea cakes.
I was gonna say, you lost them? Well, I know who has them.
Question, does the book specify any other sort of aspects, like anything that I would think would relate to what I've seen of Team Cheer?
So there is a section towards the back of the book, if you read it through, which I assume Rhoda does,
Yes.
that states that while most legendaries seem to accompany a fundamental concept and embody it, there are likely others that do not yet have an embodiment, that you could give them name, but not form. But this is a purely theoretical idea. And putting it into practice doesn't necessarily do anything, because a concept without a form to manifest or impose itself upon the world can't do much of anything. It is only a concept.
An idea can't do anything without a body.
Pretty much. But that doesn't stop ideas from being dangerous or potentially painful, as is noted that many psychic moves function on the idea of psychic backlash and psychosomatic pain, functioning on the body, creating wounds that otherwise would not exist.
Once more, mind over matter.
Yep.
So does that mean aspects can be created? Or are they just already in existence?
Good question! The book doesn't answer that.
Damn.
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you picked up a philosophy book.
The best kind of book. Darn.
Philosophy books, aka the book that does not give you answers, simply paths to questions.
Yep. Also, to Kyrio, that is a book about aspects. It's not about acolytes, but you could probably find a book on acolytes in that section. Which also, by the way, Brooke's line. Back together. Brooke notes this for the future. I know you are. But this is me having all the information available and you just need to find it. Evil DM laughter.
I think I understand why you had to prep today, actually. For today, actually, thinking about it. Like extra
Oh,
prep.
I just had to get in gear.
Oh. I was like, wait a minute, library chap, you gotta be ready with lore.
I have written none of this down.
Fair enough.
Very good improv.
Also, on the subject of losing the tea cakes, I just have to say this with Tucker.
Does it count as losing the tea cakes if I eat them so fast I forgot I did, and then later I wonder where they are and I can't remember for a while?
I think I'll eat it now.
That sounds more like a philosophical question than a logical question. Are they lost or are they eaten? Or did your stomach just find them? As you're passing by the Malamar as it flips itself upside down with its squinty-eyed, beaky grin at you. Then again, it looks like something lost has been found again. Welcome back. I don't remember you. You don't, but I do.
This was meant to be an off-canon joke, but now I'm just intrigued.
But yeah, the Malamar just floats there in its suspended just orb of water.
Huh.
You get creepy vibes off of this one. Ralph.
Alright.
Go ahead and do a smart contest logic. And you won't need to get many successes in order to find a book for what you want, because you have someone showing you the shelf.
You said smart contrast logic?
Yeah.
Alright, let me do that again, because I didn't... Alright, let's see. Alright. Make small talk as I do. So, like, it's interesting that you asked me that it could be like a construct. Is like the knowledge of how to make a construct like forbidden or something? Because that would be totally cool. Make like a construct butler. Joe, imagine a construct butler.
Oh, the Behemoth loves making small talk with you. Especially on a scientific subject. Because it's getting late and it's getting harder and harder to do specific small talk. So the Behemoth basically tells Ralph that it's not forbidden, but it's kind of outside the reach of most Pokemon. Most of them don't have the sheer intelligence or materials required to create a construct, and doing so is generally outside the means of most Pokemon anyway. Most constructs are from the old world.
This is the first time I've heard the term the old world.
Yes.
Oh, fair. But you already know a construct butler. I don't even know if construct's the right word for that thing.
Build a friend.
Yeah, it sounds like a good challenge.
Oh, but yeah, they will help you find a book that is basically, it's not the exact title, but it's basically The Anatomy of Steel Types and Construct Type Pokemon.
Nice.
Oh, what
And then
other?
I go,
Oops, sorry. Go on.
and then I go and like describe how awesome and smart Mawile is. Oh, and how cute the back Mawile is, and she has these petite little hands. And...
Meanwhile, Behemoth has pulled out another 3 or 4 books and is starting to flip through them while you gush. They are science friends. They are not relationship friends.
yeah. Actually, there might. Mawile's part steel, isn't she?
No, they're fairy.
I thought Mawile was steel fairy.
Is it steel fairy?
I think that is correct. They used to be just
I think
steel,
you're right.
right? And then they got steel.
Oh
fairy.
yeah, they were one of those that was just like, oh yeah, here, have a random steel Pokemon.
There was a lot of when fairy typing existed. I was surprised just how many Pokemon just ended up with fairy typing. I think more Pokemon ended up with fairy typing after the fact than still typing after the fact happened. Because still typing also was added to a bunch of old Pokemon as well. But with fairy typing, that got added to a ton of Pokemon that previously didn't have the type. It's really thrown me off actually, because I'm still used to the old I'm still used to Jigglypuff being normal type, for instance. Stuff like that.
Before I ask what Ryda's looking for, I should note for Brooke that even though you were told like Hatterene was responsible for putting Ryda back together, you are warned that if you're looking for Hatterene, you probably won't find them. Because they hold themselves up somewhere, and it can be difficult to get them to come out of their hidey hole until they're coming out for new books. But the head librarian could probably find them for you. Just something I feel like I forgot to say initially. But yes, what other book is Ryda looking for?
Following the thought process of power aspects created, I would like to find a book about Arceus, the creator of everything.
Cool, you find a religious text.
Damn it.
Yep.
It's rather useless for
So-
Ryda, isn't it?
Unfortunately, the only book on Arceus that the library has, which, by the way, there's a scroll that is laid right next to it, that is like someone from the library, it's not even signed, venting their frustration that this is the only book they have on Arceus. That nobody has gone and delved deeply enough into theology to figure out more about Arceus. So yeah, you just have a dusty old religious text.
So close, yet so far.
Sorry, you cannot know the nature of God.
Yeah, I figured. It was a bit of a stretch. Well, the information and aspects that I do have already is pretty good. I think Ryder will just conclude there and try to meet back up with Brooke.
So, Ralph,
Alright.
you find out through the book that you have most steel types have dense crystalline structures in their physiology that tend to make them incredibly durable and, generally speaking, mimic a variety of metals naturally. The same can be said for rock and some ground-type Pokemon that have physiologies that mimic mineral and ore. But when it comes to constructs and their artificial nature, the book repeatedly speaks about the problem of power and animating force. In other words, getting it power to function and programming it. Because it's not the same as
We do know of one quite strong animated force, and I imagine that is the more complicated part to build from scratch.
how would you plan to program it though? The effective wording is
We have a program already written. We just
I see. But yeah, the book basically speaks on when making a construct, large problems lie in the creation of a mind and not a soul, but a spark or something that will power it in perpetuity, or at least in enough time that it can be charged again. Making, of course, the obvious comparison to, a metal construct being charged by lightning strikes, however infrequent those things can be, unless you have an electric type nearby.
Interesting. If there's a more specific one on specifically constructing a construct, I might take that with as well.
At some point, the Bahian slides over a book to you and taps a page and shows you that it's about relic constructs and relic construct Pokemon, effectively Baltoy and Claydol, who, while seemingly artificial in nature, are still Pokemon, but they can lose their animating force and gain it again. And they seem to function on some sort of, effectively, proprietary evolutionary programming. And there's even like a diagram of a Baltoy that has been taken apart, which the Behem notes is a particularly gruesome, if effective, display for the purposes of scientific knowledge. Clearly sounding unnerved as they beep and boop.
Oh, he's a... At first, Ralph isn't sure why what is essentially just like a super advanced toy being taken apart is disturbing. Then he goes, oh, he gets it like, oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the same as being unsettled as by looking at, a dissected body. So,
Yeah, because to him it pretty much is.
this book in particular seems to have dissected a specimen that was dug up somewhere around the tune of, at the time of the book's writing, like 50 or so years ago, that was finally taken apart very carefully by someone here in the tower, at least at the time. And just the note of how advanced it was. They had no idea how to replicate the insides of a ball toy. And there's even a note in that chapter about how even a stasis box would be easier to duplicate than attempting to make an artificial ball toy.
I blinked out.
There's a portion of the chapter in the book the Behem showed you that states when the ball toy in question from the book was dissected, the person writing the book declares that it's too advanced to be replicated. It will be easier to duplicate a stasis box, which is a relic of similar origin and age, than to attempt to create an artificial ball toy.
Does the books can would I be able to find if a ball toy is empty, could you load it with a new spark?
There is writing in the book that does suggest if, one is deactivated but still intact, you could probably reactivate it with the proper application of energy. It's just figuring out how to do that and with what energy. Because unfortunately, they don't seem to have, a battery slot. There is even note of experiments of trying to, effectively tie a clink clank to a ball toy to make it move. It doesn't work that way. You just get a very upset clink clank.
Yeah, it's I feel like Ralph would shake his head. Oh, don't try to play God, Ralph. Don't try to play God. It's so tempting.
Well, this has all been very fascinating. Unfortunately, it looks like something of a dead end. That's alright. Perhaps someday we'll have the technology to try this. And they start closing books and putting them away.
Like, I don't think he knows exactly what my line of thinking was.
No. As Alakazam stated, it would be rude to invade your mind.
Do I have any way of checking? Like, the Psychic 101s, like, go over how to detect if someone's reading your mind?
If you are aware of potential telepathy, you can put up mental guards that would slow someone down. But if they are a stronger or more experienced psychic than you, they are going to get in.
Yeah, I imagine they're past the first 2 volumes of...
Yeah, and unfortunately you are not experienced enough a psychic to just do telepathy things yet.
Yeah, or to even tell if someone's in my head.
Well,
Ooh, I feel like I suddenly become...
you might be
cautious
able
of
to
that.
tell. You might be able to tell, but it's one of those things where I would probably make you roll for it. I will say this right now, they have not been in your head.
Yeah, that's good to know. Like Ralph would try to quell his runaway thoughts. Be a little more cautious, like, alright, they might be able to hear me as I think about putting things back together that maybe ought not to be put back together.
So, I will say, unfortunately, it's almost 11. We have run a bit later than intended.
It's alright, I kind of get it with the structure and sort of the slower pace of studying, you know.
I got carried a little bit this time.
I intended to actually stop on time, but got a bit carried away. Just as a note, so it can easily be come back to, Brida is still in the Myth and Legend section, as far as I know. Brooke, Florence, Luxray, and Tucker are, as far as I'm aware, well, no. Tucker and Luxray are headed off to see the head librarian. I'm not sure what Brooke and Florence are going to do next, given the information they've just received.
About Hatterene, yeah.
About Hatterene and about Rida.
Yeah.
And Ralph is currently in the physiology section.
Yeah. And Ryda wants to meet up with Brooke again.
Ah, yes, Rida was going to meet up with Brooke.
Yep. Don't
worry, I've got my brain together. Unfortunately, I think it's due to the fact that I just can't get tired right now because I'm in pain. But hey, at least it keeps me perky, I guess.
Yeah, I had to sort of collect all of that, where everyone is and what they're doing together, because this is a bit scattered and I've been jumping back and forth, so I know it can be a bit confusing.
Oh, especially for a DM to organize that too, like.
Well, not only for me to organize, but also like whomever is going to do the wiki thing, just trying to get at least that bit there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I apologize to Enio and anyone else who's going to be writing for this session, because I know it's really scattered.
Man, I probably reconvene nearish to the start of the next session.
Oh, actually,
probably
recommendation.
Reconvene, start getting this.
I just realized something I could say for Enio's sake or whatever. If there's an episode where the party is entirely split up, it might be better just to do subcategories of each group for the plotting. If they are completely split up, that might be a more elegant way to write it. I don't know. Just an idea.
Or a timeline that shows when events are happening at the same time.
True. It's honestly hard to write. I understand. Like, that story I still need to finish for Kyrio, actually, has that problem, actually. A lot of split groups. It's definitely hard to figure out how to write different groups, especially if they're apart for a long period of time, without the sense of time getting really skewed. Because, like, alright, let's go through how they how this group did Tuesday. Okay, now we're done with that. Next chapter. Okay, we're restarting Tuesday with this group now. Like, it can be confusing.
I think the most confusing time-wise, I think for some people, was when Ralph went off to evolve and other things were happening in town during that period of time. I know there was a bit of confusion there.
Yeah.
But for the sake of people who like need to rest and everything, everybody gets 2 XP at the moment.
Okay. I just realized I have a buff. Do I still have this buff? Wait, that's from my scarf. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a scarf that does that, and I got a scarf that does that. Yeah. Righto.
Double scarf!
All the way across the sky. I hope that's the reference you're going for.
Yeah.
Is that the reference? Did I get it right? I know some memes. That's an old one. It's the only reason I know it, probably.
It's a good one.
There was a song.
All the way. Wow, wow.
Oh, you know the song. I have the song saved. I legit like it.
I know the song because it was one of the first pony videos that I always came back to.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it was like one of the first ones that like really got me into.
I'm going to the table.
Okay.
I still remember.
Thank you for DMing for us, by the way.
Yes.
Did everybody add to their sheets?
I think it will lay down for a bit, but it'll probably be a few times over the next week. That's fine. We are in a spot where it will be very easy for you guys to help keep up my my motivation and energy for Pokerole, because now you're in Lore Dump the Location. Effectively.
And I will go ahead and ask, of course, since it is actually good for me to ask, if any of you in the audience wish to draw anything related to today's scenes, let me know. I would be happy to use it for the thumbnail, so the thumbnail has something custom in it, but that's okay if nobody does. I'll probably dump that into the Pokerole group too, into our Discord group. But I hope everybody did enjoy the session. I guess I will do my outro now too, because yeah, I kind of agree with you, Car. It's not necessarily that it's late for me, but I think I need to go get a bath. I need to just attempt to soak and see if I can reduce this dang back pain. But yeah.
Everybody rest!
I think sitting might be a bad idea. Maybe I should stand up, even if it hurts a bit more.
I would suggest, if you get a chance, like, try laying on the floor, either on your back or on your belly if you can, and see if that helps a little.
Might be a good idea. I see the logic there. Yeah.
If it starts to hurt more, like, stop immediately. Do not continue, obviously.
Well, you know what surprised me about what... So I put a pillow behind me because I took that suggestion. I actually removed it after a while. It was causing me more pain.
Yeah. It doesn't always help. Like, the reason I put a pillow behind my back is because, unfortunately, the couch I have, the cushion is, let's just say I have defirmed the cushion.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
To the point where, like, I almost constantly slouch without the pillow helping keep my back in a good position.
Yeah.
So,
been there. 350 or so pounds here. I know about permanently decompressing something, or compressing something.
Anyway, you all have a wonderful night, and thank you for joining me in this fever dream of a session.
Oh, of course.
And I hope the audience has enjoyed this as well. I'm sure by next time I will be able to have even crazier delights ready for you.
Looking forward to it.
Medium Mewtwo will be an interesting proposition.
Vari, that's not fair though, because you actually got to lay on it. Of course
Aw.
you know it's comfy. It's true, it can be comfy to lay on.
Car exudes a comfy atmosphere, so I imagine the items he owns also do.
Aw. Good night, all.
Good night.
Rest well, Car.
Y'all too.
And for the sake of my outro going a little more efficiently, so I can get out of the chair and maybe try to fix my back, good night to you guys as well, Tubby and Hydra. I hope you guys also have a good evening and a good tomorrow.
Good night.
For sure.
Thanks again for joining me today.
Till next time.
And as for you guys, streamgoers, I hope you guys enjoyed session 92. I definitely... I don't know, I feel like I did pretty decently today, considering I've been in pain the entire time. Like, legit, I kind of had to mute now and then, just because I was like, I need to move. I am going to exude a pain sound now. I should mute first. Because I gotta shift my position. But yeah, so, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 94. Episode 95 will, of course, be in a couple weeks. And I guess we'll see how the rest of the library goes for that session. Assuming, of course, we finish the library next session. We'll see if that actually is the case. I feel like it will be. But, yeah, I'm going to go soak myself and try to feel better. Don't worry. I don't think this back pain's permanent. I just tweaked something wrong this morning, and it started hurting, and I think it'll wear off, though, once I care for it a bit. But, I hope you all enjoyed the session, and have a lovely evening.